Hi, I'm Amy and this is Dave.
Hello.
We're volunteers at Empire LRP.
Recruit.
We're going to attempt to record a version of the new player briefing, which is given 3 times on Friday, but we know some people can't make it and some people just feel more comfortable if they've had a chance to listen to something before they turned up.
Yep.
Hopefully, this will be helpful.
Yep. It'll probably not contain quite everything, but it'll be a cut down version that you can at least watch on YouTube.
So let's start off with the out of character area. So the big one here is somewhere called God, which stands for
Games Operation Desk.
This is a great place to go collect your player pack, look for lost property, or really look for crew to help you with pretty much any sort of problem. If they can't help you, they'll at least know who to get in touch with to ask for help.
So that's a place you'd go for kind of any out of game issues that you might have, queries, questions and so on. And is that on the main field or is it off the...
I'm going to put a map up on the screen so I don't have to try and give geographic locations to places using my mind. Opposite God, we have first aid, where, pretty obvious, you go for medical problems. And then down the road from God, we have the monstering area, which is where you go when you monster a battle. Between the two, we've got a big trader area that has food, costumes.
Yeah, kit. People sell all sorts of things there. So all
Yeah.
the traders and the food suppliers are, and there's a big food hall in the middle, isn't there? Well, which is a big tent where if you bought food from a trader, you can take it and eat it there under some shelter.
With tables, chairs, bins. So let's move to the in-character field. So there's also a bunch of traders in the in-character field, again, selling costumes, props and food.
Yep.
Then we've got a big central area called the hub. This is mostly filled with crew members to help you and lots of paperwork, really surprising amounts of paperwork.
So much paperwork.
Which is all to help you know what's going on or tell you what's happened that weekend. There's so much paperwork that we spill out into a second tent, which is called the Synod Annex, which just contains yet more paperwork for Synod.
It's a kind of spoke for the hub, I guess.
You're very funny.
But in the same way that God is a kind of OC administrative hub, the hub is an IC administrative hub.
Yeah, it's a great place to go if you're having any in-character questions that you want to ask. Then, just across the way from the hub, we have the ref tent. This is a great place to go if you need to find a ref. So this is because you want to cast a ritual, use a priest skill, do a naughty curse, like...
Bond an item, really anything where you have a skill that says, I need a ref.
Yep.
You can find a ref there.
Then, going a little bit around from there, we have the military council tent. This is where military council meet. We're not really that creative in our tent naming schemes, to be honest.
No.
On the other side of a big hedge from military council tent, we also have the magistrates tent, which is sort of where the magistrates who impose the rule of law are. So this is a good place to go if you've caught a criminal and want to bring them to trial, or indeed if you're considering a crime and want to check how illegal it is before you do it.
So I could go there and ask a magistrate, is this a crime if I did it this way or if I did it that way? And they wouldn't arrest me immediately.
No. Carry on down, we've got the Sentinel Gate. This is where the heroes of Anvil go out to fight skirmishes and battles from. It's also where the new player skirmish and the combat briefs take place. And then further around we've got the Regio, which is a bunch of standing stones. This is an area where big magical rituals take place, but it's also how you get into the Hall of the Worlds. Now, the Hall of the Worlds isn't really an anvil. It's actually a mystical place that only magicians can get to. But we do actually need a roof on it, so it is, in reality, a tent in the corner of the field that we all just ignore most of the time.
Yeah.
That's a great place to go to Conclave, the big magicians meeting, but also to meet Eternals, to meet Heralds, or indeed do something sneaky where non-magicians can see you.
So if you ever see anything that says, it's in the Hall of the Worlds, you go to the Regio and pop through there.
In order to get in, you need the open portal skill, which is a basic skill that all magicians have. You go to the Regio, you cast a spell, and you only need to do it once each weekend to get in for the whole weekend. So we recommend you do it on Friday evening.
When you've got spare mana.
Back towards the hub, there is the Academy. This is where the children of the Empire go to learn how to become heroes. It caters for children of all ages and teaches skills in potion making, magic, fighting, and just basic how to play the game skills. Coming back to the centre of the field, there's also a big tent called Senate. That's where the Senate meets. Again, we're great with naming structures. And also where the Bourse auction happens and a bunch of other player organised meetings. Next to that is the bar, which is a licensed bar that's open during the event.
Again, creatively named.
Oh, it's called
the Forge, actually.
It's called the Forge. It
It
has a creative name. Ha! One that actually has a creative name. The rest were really uncreative. Yeah. Sorry. There are a bunch of crew members that you will see around on the Anvil field. Now, the most important ones for new players are called egregores. These are spirits of your nation that live in each nation camp and are there to help you. They are the player support team. They are the first people to go to with, any worries and concerns, which might be as simple as, I feel shy and I don't know who to talk to, or indeed, I'm lost and I don't know where something is, or...
Yeah, they can be really good at getting new players involved with the game. You can go and ask for help from them.
Yeah, they are there to help you. Don't feel embarrassed or worried about asking them or taking up their time. They are there to help you. Another group of people who are here to help you are civil servants. You can identify them because they tend to be wearing a lot of purple, often in a sash form.
Civil servants are a member of a nation, but they're an employee directly of the Empire, aren't they?
Yes. And again, these are here in character to help your character engage with the Empire. We are here to do all of the paperwork so that you can concentrate on making decisions and doing heroic things, and we worry about recording it and implementing it.
So civil servants and egregores are not leaders at all, are they?
No.
The players are the people playing the leaders and the heroes of the Empire.
Yes.
The civil servants just help them process their decisions and do all the boring bits. We can give advice about how could I do this, or is there a way I can achieve this, and we can direct people to places like that.
Yeah, and the best place to find civil servants are the hub. You come into the hub pretty much any time during the day, and there are half a dozen civil servants who are desperate to help you. Next we have magistrates. They tend to wear white sashes or white coats, and they are the people who are charged with implementing the rule of law. They are the people who run trials and the people who decide what punishments to put on people. Again, these are not player characters, they're NPCs, and there will never be a plot line about a magistrate being corrupt or, they might make bad judgments because we're all human, we don't necessarily have perfect information, but they're never going to be deliberately favouring one person over another.
You can't bribe them. You may be able to persuade them with icy means or religious arguments that your crime wasn't so bad. You may be able to wear a cunning disguise and get away, but they are there to be as unbiased and as sort of as genuinely competent as they can be about it.
One thing to note is that Anvil is a place under the rule of law. There are only two punishments for crimes, and those are fines or execution. You can't ever be imprisoned for a length of time. Crimes should be long-running scams or, the culmination of years of antagonistic roleplay between you and a great icy enemy. Basically, crime should make a cool story. We also have some people who aren't playing characters, but they are there. First of those are refs. Refs wear black and yellow, and they're not hit there in character. Don't try and talk to them in character, it doesn't make sense. They're there to help you out of character, do various process things like rituals, like priest ceremonies. Second, we have, very similar to refs, people in red and black coats. They're there to do some specific action. They already have a job. Please don't ask them for anything unless it is incredibly urgent.
So that's yellow and black quartered tabard or coat and red and black quartered coat. Either of them not really there, but there might be a reason why they interact with you.
If they talk to you and instruct you to do something, please listen to them. Please give them your cooperation. And finally, we have some people who may come out in high vis. These are people like security guards or first aid. They're going to be coming out to deal with a specific problem. If you have an issue that you need to deal with, please find another member of crew. They already have a job that they're doing. Empire is a political player versus player game. Most of the plot and fun at Empire comes from competing against other players in deciding which way certain political decisions go. And a lot of these decisions happen in different great houses depending on the sort of decision they are.
So it's like a big government that's spread around the field.
Yeah.
Okay.
In a load of tents, having meetings in a muddy field. Perfectly sensible way to run a country. We've got Senate. And I'm starting with that because we're Senate civil servants and we get to show favourites out of character. Yep. Senate's the best.
So Senate's a bit like the Houses of Parliament, right?
Yeah, Senate's where laws get made, it's also where a lot of people get elected, and it's where a lot of really big decisions about where plot lines are going to go happen. But also they meet to build a lot of buildings, which is often PD's way of deciding which way a plot line goes. Build the building, the plot goes in that direction. You don't build the building, it won't go in that direction.
Do you want to do more military things? Maybe build more armies. Do you want to build a giant impressive cathedral and spread the way around the world and show how great the empire is? Maybe build that.
But you can't possibly build absolutely everything that absolutely everyone wants, so you have to make some choices.
That's on purpose.
If you want to get involved in Senate, best people to talk to are your senators. In each nation, there's a different way of electing senators. If you're not sure whether you can elect your senator, best person to talk to is the egregore. Mm-hmm. Next, we're going to talk about conclave. Conclave is where the magicians at Empire meet.
Wizard Club.
Wizard Club. It happens Friday and Saturday evening, and there's also a discussion session on Saturday afternoon. Some of you might decide that you're playing magicians, that you've got magical skills, and you want to join in that meeting. Anyone who can get to the Hall of Worlds can join in with Conclave. It makes decisions like which rituals are permitted, which Eternals are we friendly with, what are the magicians of the Empire doing to help the Empire at the moment.
So the governance of magic.
Very much the governance of magic. The boss is interested in money. We can think of it like the New York Stock Exchange, perhaps. Mm-hmm. It's where people with a lot of money go to buy really expensive giant piles of resources that get traded and used for building things, but also upgrading people's personal resources. Mm-hmm. There are also some really interesting small things that are auctioned on the bourse once a season. They allow you to make a declaration in conclave or put forward a motion to the Senate without being one of the elected officials in those bodies. The military council decides where the armies of the Empire are going between events. While they do decide which battles we're doing at the weekend, they aren't necessarily fighters. In fact, in many ways, they're a bunch of nerds in a tent playing a board game. Mm. It's like there's a giant game of chess and they've all got one piece each and they get to decide where they move their piece and what it's doing. Mm. It's much more about strategy and collaboration.
Anyone can be a general potentially, you don't need to be somebody who can fight.
Mentioned it, I will say there are big battles that the generals decide on each weekend, and there's one really important rule for the battles, which is if you decide to go and fight in one of the battles, you have to monster the other battle. So if you're interested in fighting, make sure you know which battle your nation is fighting and which day you're supposed to be turning up to monster instead.
So there's one battle on Saturday morning and one battle on Sunday morning, and on Friday night the generals choose which of the opportunities that those battles will be taken for.
Synod is the religious governing body. You might have decided to be a priest, in which case you will be in various assemblies. You'll be in your national assembly for your nation, you'll be in your virtue assembly for your virtue, and you'll also be in the general assembly, which is all the priests who are attending Anvil.
So they hold like moral authority over the nation.
Yes. But when you say moral authority over the nation, I sometimes worry that people picture the Church of England saying women shouldn't wear trousers, when what they should really think of is the Catholic Church in the 1500s telling Henry VIII who he could marry, or, my preferred way of viewing it, the Daily Mail telling people, actually, it's okay to drink a glass of red wine because that cures cancer, or causes cancer. And the reason I like the Daily Mail example is because it helps me remember the limitations of Synod. Synod can't get people to entirely change their beliefs overnight. The Daily Mail is very, very good at telling people, Turns out red wine lowers heart disease, so it's okay to drink red wine because people already want to drink red wine. It's very bad at telling people, vote for Jeremy Corbyn and let's institute.
So, for example, you wouldn't use the synod to say, hey, marchers, land's not important. But if you used to if the marcher synod said, hey, marchers, you should all shun that person for being mean about land, probably be more effective.
Yeah.
On the Friday before time in at Empire, there's a number of introductory meetings to various areas of the game that we've just described. So like an introduction to Senate, an introduction to Synod, one to the Conclave. So you might want to check those out if they're interesting to the character you want to play and get some more information.
Before the game starts, you can go to God and pick up your character pack, which comes with a whole bunch of stuff in it. Everyone will have some money, which are genuine coins.
Look at them, little coins.
That actually clink together, which I think is really cool.
We have three types of coins. We have rings, crowns, and
Thrones.
So how many rings do you have to a crown?
The way you can remember the different money systems is you get 20 rings to the crown because...
That's one ring for each finger, isn't it? And each toe.
Yeah. I'm glad you didn't just stop at each finger. I would have worried both about your counting ability and your biology. And you get 8 crowns to a throne because...
there were 8 nations in the Empire when it was formed.
Obviously, makes complete sense.
Now there are 10, but we don't know where the other 2 came from.
We do. We do.
So rings look a bit like this, and they all clink together. It's lovely metal coinage. So rings are your kind of pocket change. You know, you might buy a bit of cake with them, or everyone gets 18 rings just as a starting income. So crowns are silvery, and they're nice, pretty like this. This is a 4-crown piece. And then there are thrones. They're kind of goldish and nice.
You can think of your rings as your pocket change that you buy snacks with. You can think of your crowns as like the money you spend for your weekly shop. And you can think of your thrones as the money you'd buy a new car with.
You can do a lot with thrones. Let's talk about crafting resources, which are types of magical resource that mostly used by artisans to make magical items. That could be magic armour, it could be magic weapons, jewellery, wizard staffs and so on. These are usually like this sort of thing, resin cast resources. There are more types of them, and we'll put a description up.
They come in different amounts. You can get a 1, a 3 and a 5. They represent magical resources that can be used to build magical armour, magical weapons. There are a lot of people called artisans out there who will be trying to collect these resources and use them to make things between events.
Another thing you might have in your pack is cards. Cards represent that you have, from a rules perspective, an item that you can do something with. So, for example, it might be Liao, which is priest drugs that let you use priest skills, mana crystal for casting rituals or spells, and herbs for making potions or healing people. It's a requirement that, as well as having the cards, you also have something that kind of is the physical representation of that. So you might have a little crystal for a mana crystal, or you might have a little potion vial with some actual dried herbs in it for the herbs.
If you're an artisan, you might find some white ribbons in your pack. These represent magical swords or other powerful items. They again need a fizz rep for you to attach them to. They also have an expiry date for how long the magic lasts. Another thing you might find in your pack, if you are someone who can elect your senator, or if you have a particular resource that allows you to vote in the bourse, is you might have a slip of paper that says votes.
So that would tell you on it who you can vote for and what the options are.
Oh, but what if I don't know who wants to be senator or what to do with my votes?
Well, good excuse to ask around your nation and find out if you can give somebody your support. Other people might be asking for them. They might even be offering to sell them or trade them or, give some influence for them. So
could I run for these positions?
Probably. It should say on the voting slip when the election will be and how to use it. Probably the worst thing that you can do with these is...
just hide them in your pack and not use them. Much better to sell them or give them away or try and use them to run yourself for something.
Finally, you might find in your pack other things, which might be things that have happened due to plot. You might have a traumatic wound because of where you were over the season and there was a war. You might have some kind of strange letter from an Eternal. You might have a letter from a foreign nation or a diplomat.
You might have a strange vision that you've had or a dream. Again, if it's been put in your pack, it's probably something useful and interesting. Think of it as an invitation to go have fun somewhere. Try and work out why it's there and what you can do with it.
So in conclusion, you're going to have something in your character pack. Everyone at Anvil is fairly wealthy one way or another, be it in herbs, be it in resources, be it in money. And all those tokens are ways for you to go and have fun at Anvil.
We now want to talk about something a little bit serious, and that's conduct. We've made some short videos on this before, and we recommend you go watch those as well, but we are just going to recap some of the really core points. Firstly, we get to choose the world we're creating here, and we want to choose a world that respects people. So we don't want any racism, we don't want any homophobia, we don't want any transphobia. We want people to respect each other's pronouns. A lot of people do wear pronoun badges, and if you notice someone is wearing a pronoun badge, please use that pronoun to refer to them. In general, my best rule of thumb is if something is true about the person playing the character, don't use it as an insult or a way to argue with them. Stick to things that their character has done.
So, for example, would it be okay to insult my character if I was a marcher who'd, betrayed the land?
I mean, it'd be okay to insult your character just for being a marcher. That's a choice your character made.
But if, for example, you insulted me because out of character I was French,
that would be weird and not okay. We ask you to check in with people if you're doing particularly contentious roleplay. So this is if you're being very loud and aggressive at people in a way that wouldn't be okay in real life. Please check in with them afterwards and make sure that they are okay with that sort of roleplay. And if they ask you to calm it down, just step further back, be quieter, be less aggressive.
This doesn't mean that you can't take actions against somebody from in an in-game perspective, but it means it's about how you behave to them while you're doing that.
The other place where we ask you to check in is around romantic relationships. If you're going to do anything romantic or physical with someone, please check in with them beforehand to make sure that they're okay with that.
What you might do is drop out of character and say, hey, out of character, can we just have a conversation about the way our character's been flirting? So you're asking the player, not the character, what they're okay with.
Yeah, I'm perfectly happy with you carrying on flirting with me. I like being kissed, but I don't like being hugged from behind, so please don't do that.
Okay, I won't sneak up behind you and hug you, but also I don't actually want to kiss you in this romance because, I don't want to do that as a LARP thing, so I hope that's okay.
That's fine. You can do very similar check-ins around aggressive roleplay. So like, I might be shouting at you very, very loudly, really in your face, up here, and then afterwards I'd be like, oh, that did get quite intense. Were you okay with that?
I was okay with it, but could you just not get any nearer to me when you do it next time? It's just, I don't like people getting super up close, but being loud is absolutely fine.
Cool. So, in general, just respect people and try and make sure that everyone's having a good time. Next, I want to talk a bit about participant welfare. Participant welfare is a thing that we have for helping people keep enjoying the game, keeping in character. They can help you if you are having problems that is making it hard for you to enjoy the game. These might be problems like you're feeling very upset and you need a space to calm down, but they also might be things like, I broke the pole in my tent and my tent's not staying up.
Yeah, my feet got really wet last night and I'm cold.
Yeah. Please let us know if you are having problems that mean you're not enjoying yourself, because the only problem we can do absolutely nothing about is the one that we don't find out about until after you've left the game. These might be physical problems, mental problems. Please just let us know if you're not happy. There are also some tricks we would recommend to help stay happy throughout the course of the weekend. Remember to eat, remember to drink. I know this sounds really silly, but it's really easy to get caught up in the world of LARP and roleplay and forget to look after yourself. So
yeah, there's a really big chance that you'll be potentially walking quite long distances or moving quite long distances to get places. You're outdoors, you're likely to get more dehydrated than usual. You might not be used to this environment for a whole weekend. Drink and eat more than usual.
Yeah. And similarly, wear sunscreen if it's hot and sunny. Put on more layers if it's cold and windy.
Wear a hat.
Wear a hat. And sleep.
Oh, do sleep as well, yes.
Yeah. And if you take any medication, try to remember to take your pills. But if you do need to talk to a member of our participant welfare team, just come to God or to any member of crew and ask them to radio participant welfare, and we'll get someone to come talk to you. They can sit down with you and we can help work out what you need to get you back to playing the game, Or if there isn't a way to do this, we can help work out what's the fastest way to get you off-site and get you home and somewhere you're safe and happy again.
So you could go and ask for help from pretty much any member of crew, whether they're like a civil servant in character or they're somebody who's at the god or a ref. Yeah.
Yes.
We want to talk about weapons briefly. If you plan to use weapons at the event, that's great. One of the big parts of LARP is that. It's important that your weapons have been checked by somebody who is a weapons checker, a PD. That usually means that they'll have ended up with a rubber band on them that shows it's been checked this event. It's important that your weapons are checked every event before you use them. You can identify the weapons check tent. Where is it?
It's on the main road.
Yeah, on the main road, and it has a big banner outside that says weapons check. If you need to find a weapons checker during the game, a lot of the people who do that have a little tag on their belt that shows they can check weapons. So you can ask one of them, can you check this weapon, please?
You usually find someone who can check weapons hanging out around the Sentinel Gate before skirmishes and before the large battles.
So one thing we need players to be much more careful about is bows and crossbows, projectile weapons. This is basically a toy, legally speaking. It's a squishy hammer. But a bow and a crossbow is something that could do real harm. So if you're using a bow or crossbow, it's very, very important you get it checked and that you go to the weapons checkers and have the prove that you're competent with them and get the bow guidelines that you must carry with you at all times.
We really recommend you go to the new player skirmish to get a chance to use out weapons and get a sense of how fighting works before you start fighting in the real game.
Yeah, please don't go straight to a battle with a weapon you've just bought and no experience using it. That's a way to get injured.
Finally, we have some advice that we have gathered from years of collective LARP experience, particularly LARPing at Empire.
So we wanted to give a couple of tips on how to have fun at Anvil Empire events that we've picked up over the years. Originally, lots of people were asked, what's the one thing you tell a new player who is coming to Empire? And they all said,
Socks.
Socks, bring lots of socks. They were obsessed with socks. We don't really understand
socks.
why everyone was so obsessed with socks. We assume they had a traumatic incident where their feet got wet. But anyway, we assume that most of you are capable of dressing yourselves and have brought enough socks.
So we went back and we asked them for more advice for new players. So first piece of advice is to say yes. There'll be lots of times this weekend where people come up to you with ideas that may sound dubious or things you've not done before.
I've got a genius plan. Why don't we go over there and get into some trouble?
Yeah, sounds fun.
Sounds good.
Why don't we make a deal with this terrible sovereign?
Sounds like a good idea.
Why don't we go listen to a Senate meeting?
That's a terrible idea.
Now, this is the say yes section. This is the say yes section.
Oh, also, we run Senate.
Yeah, we should probably go to the meeting we run.
Why don't we go to military council and see how our generals are doing? Maybe they're not doing the right thing for our nation.
Yeah, sounds great. Let's go see what's happening.
And then kill them.
Yeah, why not?
So say yes to things that are going to give you some game. If you get in trouble, if it goes wrong, it's just something that's happened to your character.
Right, the worst thing that will happen is you'll get arrested by the militia and executed for your terrible crime, and then you can just start another character.
Who can make some more bad choices. And the opposite of say yes is don't be afraid to say no. So if you're doing something that's just not interesting you, you'd rather do something else. Say a meeting's popped up around you, there's no end of meetings at Anvil, and you're just not interested, you just say, I'm not staying here. Walk away and do something else. There's a million other things to do at Anvil.
If someone suggests you go on a skirmish and you don't feel like fighting.
No, it's good. I'm going to go and do something else.
If someone suggests that you stay up really late and go to this particular activity that's happening and actually you want to go to bed.
No, I want to go to bed.
Yeah, it's great. Do the thing that makes you happy.
Yeah. Don't be afraid to say yes and don't be afraid to say no.
Finally, there has been a phrase that we have been training into years upon years of LARPers at this point. And that phrase is...
I'm new to Anvil. And
this is a code phrase that will make people understand you're kind of new to this LARP and you might not understand what's going on.
So if I come and say, you've got to help me, the Senate's about to pass a motion that's going to declare war with the Iron Confederacy and that's going to cause no end of trouble in the Bourse elections because the returns from the Senate will get too low and then the forts won't be funded and we'll all drown.
I'm new to Anvil. I'm not sure who Iron Confederacy is or why they're fighting with the Bourse. Could you explain a bit more?
Sure, right. So it's all to do with...
And this will almost always get people to slow down and get them to fill in the details of what they're talking about. They won't judge you for not knowing There's always stuff we don't know. It's just a nice, easy shorthand for, I'm new to Anvil. I just don't understand that. So feel free to use that as a way of just cluing people around you into, you're not entirely sure what's happening right now. Please explain some more. Okay, well, we hope to see you in a field at some point.
Bye-bye.
This is going to be 90% outtake. I should have done this without you. Never work with animals, children, or Dave.
Or crustaceans.
Hi, I'm Amy, and this is Dave.
Hello, I'm Dave. This is Citizen Snips. He's a crab.
I'm going to have edit control over this video.
With his little hat and his little civil servant sash and his little quiver because he's a beta. He's a marcher beta crab.
Put the stuffed toys down. Yes. What would happen in the crab tent?
Citizen Snips would live there. Everyone would love him.
Citizen Snips is not actually an official part of this game or in any way endorsed by Profound Decisions or, in fact, me.
The little ambassador come to see the Empire. Who's a little beta crab? Going to arrest him.
Now he's gone. We can be friends.